also received it for Lincoln for the first year. And I tell you, those awards don't come easily. It all boils down to taking care of the customers and having the vehicles you want in stock for you to buy.
Hello everyone. Happy Thursday to you. It's a good day today. We got baseball, we got football, high school sports are still going on. We got a lot to get to today. Coming up on round 2, race 3 for the NASCAR Cup Series as well. They're going to be in town this weekend. Yeah. The Charlotte Roval. I know. I don't like the Roval either. I don't. But there is a new layout this year, so I guess let's give it a chance, right? You can't just say it's going to be a terrible race. What I will say is it looks like they added more passing zones, especially in the infield. The corners are a little sharper. It might be a little easier to pass. There's a nice little hairpin corner as you come out of the infield back up onto the track. Maybe it'll create some good passing. That part of the track probably will. It's going to be the last race of the round, though, so you know it's going to be a mess. We're going to start talking a little bit of Roval today, get some odds for you as that is around the corner. Then tomorrow we can really start to see what the points look like, who needs to do what, NASCAR and Cup as well, or NASCAR Cup and Xfinity, both in action at the Roval, so we'll go over both of those. Also, the NFL is tonight. The San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks. This is a big, big game. We talked about it at the beginning of the week with the 49ers. They're only 2-3 this year, and I don't think that we've heard much clamoring for Brock Purdy to be reevaluated as a quarterback. But if they lose to the Seahawks and Brock Purdy does not play well, the calls are going to be coming because no matter what, he will never shake Mr. Irrelevant. Brock Purdy will always have that tag. And if he doesn't perform, people are going to want to get him out of there. And it happens. It's the NFL. If you're not performing, it's what have you done for me lately, right? And lately, the 49ers haven't been great. Starting the season out 2-3. If they lose this one, they're going to fall way behind. Seahawks, though, 3-2, coming off of a weird loss to the Giants. Don't really know how the Seahawks pulled that one off, but the Seahawks 3-2 going into this game. It's a NFC West matchup, and when you look at the standings in the NFC West, it's pretty close. You got the Seahawks leading things at 3-2, 49ers and the Cardinals 2-3 behind them, and the Rams are at 1-4. When we talk about the NFC, we always want to see where the Panthers position in that. Well, they're 1-4 in their division. The division leaders right now are 3-2. Maybe they'll get a win one of these days. But we're not going to talk too much on the Panthers today as they don't play until this weekend. And, you know, one thing to keep in mind with the Panthers is I think we are more looking for improvement than anything for the team as a whole. You know, over the past few weeks, it was, well, to start the season and to end last season, it was, what is Bryce Young doing? How does Bryce Young look? Is he getting better? And we answered that question. Not really. He didn't get better. He ended up getting benched a few weeks ago. Now I think the conversation shifts to the remainder of the team. Dave Canales as a head coach in general. How does he handle the remainder of the season with a lot of injuries? Will the players fight for him? Will they play for him? That is going to be the question for the remainder of the season, in my opinion. I'm not saying that it's a lost season just yet, but if the coach is able to rally the troops here with the injuries that they have, and they win a game or two in the next few weeks, season's not dead, and you have maybe got some reinforcements coming a little bit later in the year. Depends on how the health goes for everyone. I know a few people placed on IR, and that's mandatory 4 games. Torn biceps, you're not coming back from. You're not coming back from a torn bicep, unfortunately. That's going to be a next year you'll be back. But the Panthers taking on the Falcons this weekend. Like I said, we're not going to cover that all that much. A few other things going on in the world of sports, including baseball. Let's start with something that isn't actually game related. Down in Florida, the Hurricane Milton, ended up hitting Florida as a Category 3 near Tampa, and Tropicana Field is located in Tampa Bay. The stadium was being used for like housing for first responders and Red Cross and linemen, things like that. Well, the stadium in all of that had the roof ripped off of it. I don't know how long it's going to take to fix the roof there, but I do know that they plan on building a new stadium anyway, and we're not going to talk too much about the hurricane in general and hurricanes and things going on in the world. We're going to look at this from a sports angle. One of the worst ballparks in baseball, and maybe we get out of there early. Maybe. Maybe they just say, you know what, take the roof off of it. It's going to be an open stadium now. I don't know. But what I will say is I will not miss that dome. I will not miss it. I won't. How many times have we seen fly balls hit the catwalk, hit the roof? Like, come on. Brutal stadium. So that happened last night with the Tropicana Field, home of the Tampa Bay Rays, the roof getting ripped off of it. Wow. As far as gameplay, tonight we have a couple of games in baseball. It's the American League that's going to be in action. Game 4s all around as the Cleveland Guardians and Detroit Tigers battle it out. Detroit wins and they move on to the ALCS. Later on tonight at 8 o'clock, the New York Yankees and the Kansas City Royals will take on Game 4 as well. The New York Yankees lead that series 2-1, as last night Giancarlo Stanton for the New York Yankees was the hero, hitting a solo home run in the top of the 8th inning. You know, the games last night for baseball were great. You had the Mets, not really a walk-off in sense, but they hit a grand slam in the bottom of the 6th inning. Francisco Lindor, who else? And they move on to the NLCS as the Mets upset the Phillies. The Dodgers, 9 innings, 8 pitchers, and they win 8-0. That was a great game. That series is now going to a Game 5. It'll be the first Game 5, first winner-take-all game of these playoffs. And then the Tigers taking a stranglehold 2-1 series lead over the Guardians last night. Man, if you haven't been paying attention to baseball playoffs, if you haven't been tuning in, it's kind of been better than the NFL right now. The playoffs have been great for football, or for baseball, I should say. I hope you're watching, because it's real entertaining. When we come back, we're going to talk a little high school sports. The soccer season's going on. We'll keep you updated, run down a few schools, and let you know who's good. Don't go anywhere. We're back after this.
More of Sports Director Joe Berg's The Scoreboard is coming up on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Well, of course, the folks in Western North Carolina in our thoughts and prayers trying to heal from Helene, and now the folks in Florida also in our thoughts and prayers being ravaged by Hurricane Milton last night. Our weather around Lake Norman, though, in good shape. Milton's not coming here. Plenty of sunshine, low to mid-70s for today. We'll fall back into the mid-40s overnight and warm up to the upper 60s, low 70s for our Friday. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
The WSIC app is available now wherever you get your apps, featuring local deals from great local businesses like Nina's Boutique.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Brookdale Village in Huntersville presents their free concert series Live Under the Oaks on Friday. The Village is open all day for shopping and dining with Rocky Lynn taking the stage at 6 p.m. Bring your chairs and enjoy on-site beverages from Red Rocks. Live Under the Oaks with Rocky Lynn kicks off at 6 p.m. Friday in Brookdale Village. Old Town Cornelius is alive again with October's Second Friday Street Festival. Join friends and neighbors on October 11th from 5 to 9 p.m. at the Oak Street Mill in Cornelius for the Second Friday Street Festival season finale. Live music, an all-star lineup of breweries, delicious food trucks, sweet treats, a kids zone, petting zoo, vendors, and giveaways highlight a night of fun for the entire family. We'll see you in Old Town Cornelius for the Second Friday Street Festival. NASCAR returns to Charlotte Motor Speedway for their annual fall weekend in October on the Roval. The Xfinity Series holds the Drive for the Cure 250 on Saturday. The Cup Series competes in the Bank of America Roval 400 on Sunday. Weekend ticket packages as well as daily tickets are available. Also, check out deals for military service members, college students, suites, the Champions Pavilion, the Indoor Clubhouse, Terrace Box, 4-packs, and more. Don't miss any of the entertainment, including Eli Young Band and Tim Duggar concerts before NASCAR's National Series step closer to their championships. Visit CharlotteMotorspeedway.com for information, tickets, and details. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
The Renaissance Festival is back Saturdays and Sundays, now through November 24th. A non-stop outdoor family adventure. Tickets available online only at renfestinfo.com while supplies last.
Breaking news, expert analysis, and the stories that matter most, all in one place.
I totally acknowledge seeing flames is a scary situation.
WSIC. News, talk, now.
The best talk all day long.
WSIC.
Local starts here. The Scoreboard with Joe Berg continues now on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Hello, everyone. We are back. Segment 2 here on the Scoreboard today. 844 Studio 4. That's 844-788-3464. If you're interested in reaching out, talking sports with me, anything on your mind, anything at all, I will chat with you here on the Scoreboard. We were talking just in general on the other side of the break, some things going on in the world of sports. We got football tonight. We got baseball tonight. We got high school sports tonight, and that's where we are going to move our conversation to, as we are going to look into some soccer seasons, because there are some really good teams in the area. Some of them were in action last night, some in action tonight. So let's go over things and start the same way we always do with the school right in our backyard here, Statesville High School Soccer. They have not been having the year that they wanted to have, on a pretty bad losing streak here, as they have lost 6 consecutive games, all of them being conference games as well. Statesville currently sitting at 3 wins, 13 losses, and 1 tie on the year. Definitely a tough day, or tough season for Statesville, but, you know, it happens. Last year for Statesville, things were, well, not necessarily the same because they only won a singular game, but not as well as they have been in the past, as this team has had good seasons. I mean, it was a few years ago that they were almost conference champions in the Northern Piedmont Division. But right now, 3-13 for Statesville, just not having the best year in the soccer scene. Another school that's having a rough year in soccer, that is South Iredell High School, 4-10-1 on the year. That includes all 7 games in the conference being losses, and they are on a major losing streak right now as they have lost their last 9 soccer matches. Think about this, they started the year 4-1-1. Things were looking great, and then all of a sudden, the tides turned. The team has been on a pretty rough streak ever since then, most recently losing to Lake Norman. They lost 3-2, so it's not like the game was out of hand or anything, but just can't seem to find the next win on the schedule. They'll be taking on Hickory Ridge High School tonight on the road, that is, for South Iredell soccer. 7 o'clock will be the kickoff. More directional Iredell schools for you, as we love to cover those schools. West Iredell, that is now, is also having a rough year. The most local area to us here, the Statesville, directional Iredell schools, they're having rough soccer seasons. I'm not going to lie about that. West Iredell, 4 wins, 13 losses on the year, including losing their last 4 matches. Before they got their last win, they lost their last 3 matches, so only 1 of their last 7. Currently 1-7 in the conference and 4-13 overall. It's been a real rough season. Last night they took on East Lincoln and dropped it 4-0. 4-0. Yes, I said nil. I know what I'm talking about with soccer, right? And their next game is going to be next week against Statesville. So not really a chance to do anything with the remainder of the season. Just win a game, play spoiler. They have some schools on their schedule still that are going to be fighting for the playoffs. So maybe they can play spoiler and, upset a few seasons. And let's get to some schools that are having a good time this year. North Iredell, 10 wins, 3 losses, 2 draws on the year, 5 wins, 2 losses, and 1 draw in conference. North Iredell is the 88th ranked school in North Carolina, according to Max Preps. They've been having a pretty good year on a nice 4-game winning streak, only giving up 0 goals in those 4 games. Scoring plenty. 14 goals in their last 4, and they have not given up any goals. So a good run. Last night they took on North Lincoln at home and got the job done. Now North Iredell is who we're talking about. North Iredell next week takes on Hickory High School. And we've talked about Hickory quite a bit, especially when it comes to the football season, as they've had a really good football program over there over the last few years. Winning a 3A state title last year, looking good this year. They might be the best team. They might be the team to beat in 3A this year. They really might. Their soccer program, really good as well. They are tied for the lead in the Western Foothills 3A Conference with East Lincoln at 7-0. Overall, Hickory is 13-3, and they have won their last 8 matches. So a great stretch here for Hickory. Last night, they beat St. Stephen's 5-0. A nice little go away and win that game at home. We're going to wait till next week to see them in action again. It'll be against North Iredell. Some other schools that we like to follow here include Lake Norman, the 14-2-1 team down there in Mooresville, and 7-0 in the conference, undefeated. Number 1 team in the conference right now is Cox Mill is behind them at 5 wins, 1 loss, and 1 draw. Lake Norman has been tearing things up recently, winning their last 7 games and not losing a game in their last 9. They do have a draw in there, but a nice streak here for Lake Norman, top of the chart in the Greater Metro 4A. 12th ranked team in the state of North Carolina. Going to be somebody to look out for when we get to the playoffs. Mooresville High School is having a decent year. Not the best, but they're decent this year. I don't know what their postseason is going to look like in the last few games of the season here. They're going to need to get a lot of wins. 10-7-1 currently for Mooresville High School, but that includes a 3-5 conference record. And we've talked about how important the conference is, and you want to be sitting in a good spot in the conference come end of the year. Mooresville, unfortunately, not doing great in that regard right now, but they have plenty of games left. There's still 5 remaining on their schedule. Maybe a chance to turn things around and show they belong in the playoffs. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. And my alma mater, Pine Lake High School, Pine Lake Prep, 10 wins, 1 loss, and 3 draws on the year. They are second in the conference. It's the Catawba Shores Athletic 1/2A conference. Bradford Prep is in front of them at 7-0, but Pine Lake 6-1-1 in division right now. Most recently, yesterday, they did lose to Bradford Prep as it was a battle for supremacy in the conference. 1-0 was the final score, so a very good game there, but Pine Lake unable to get it done. They do have a chance to avenge that loss. Their final game of the year is going to be at home versus Bradford Prep. So with only 6 games remaining in the season, if they keep winning their conference games here, they're going to be in good shape come the end of the season. Also, ranked as the 61st best team in the state of North Carolina. One other school to keep an eye on, Hopewell High School. They are having a great year, undefeated in the Queen City 3A, 4A conference, and 13-1-2 overall, riding a wonderful 8-game winning streak, which included a second overtime victory against Chambers High School. 2-1 was the victory in that one. Now, they've won their last 8 games, but they have not lost in their last 10 games, as they have some draws in there as well. Hopewell High School going to be a team to watch as we move through the soccer playoffs. We've been keeping an eye on a lot of different sports during the fall season. That will continue as we head to the end of the regular season. A lot of volleyball is finishing up today, tomorrow. I'm expecting for us to have some word on what the playoffs are going to look like for volleyball. And I know things are kind of getting out of whack here with the hurricane that came through the western part of the state, some things being pushed back. So right now, on the 10th of October, the next big date to keep in mind when it comes to volleyball, conference volleyball reporting deadline is October 9th, and the seeding will take place 10 days from now on October 20th. So there is a little bit of a rest period here in the local area. As we said yesterday, a lot of schools in the area only have 1 game remaining in volleyball. And for football, we're continuing to keep an eye on things. Tomorrow, we're going to go over a lot of the games in the area. We are just about halfway in the football season. Some teams have already passed the halfway mark. I'd say a majority have. There's probably 1 or 2 that haven't played that halfway mark game yet, but we are on the downturn of the regular season in football. We're going to start thinking about playoffs, thinking about seeding, where everybody's going to stack up as we get to the end of the fall season. I know it came fast. It really did. It feels like we just started talking about high school. I mean, they really just got back to school. Before you know it, we'll be talking baseball. And baseball isn't until the spring for a lot of these high schools. But winter sports are coming up fast. We'll have some volleyball or some basketball in there that we'll be talking about. So it'll be a good time. We're going to head to our next commercial break, the halfway point on the program today. When we return, we'll talk about some things that are going on in the world of sports, and we'll get into some NASCAR as well. You're not going to want to miss the remainder of this one. We have a good show planned for you. You're listening to The Scoreboard, and we'll be back after this.
This guy knows his sports, right? There's more of The Scoreboard with Joe Berg on the way on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Well, of course, the folks in Western North Carolina in our thoughts and prayers trying to heal from Helene, and now the folks in Florida also in our thoughts and prayers being ravaged by Hurricane Milton last night. Our weather around Lake Norman, though, in good shape. Milton's not coming here. Plenty of sunshine, low to mid-70s for today. We'll fall back into the mid-40s overnight and warm up to the upper 60s, low 70s for our Friday. That's your forecast for the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Drum Landscape Supply is the go-to spot for anything you need for your yard. Transform your landscaping. Drum Landscape Supply has trees, flowers, natural stone, custom blended grass seed, mulch, and more. Plus, they deliver. DrumLandscapeSupply.com.
Bob McIntosh here with the McIntosh Law Firm in Davidson. Serving this community has been a collective passion of our law firm since 1997. We offer the quality legal services and results you would expect from a large downtown firm, but with a personal, community-focused approach right here at home. The McIntosh Law Firm, your local legal resource.
To learn more about the McIntosh Law Firm, visit McIntoshLawFirm.com.
Have you taken the DESCO Challenge? DESCO is where the professional goes for electrical supplies.
My name is Ashley. I just redid the lighting in my home, and the customer experience at DESCO was second to none.
See for yourself at DESCOInc.com.
Prioritizing your health is one of the best ways to take care of yourself. From routine visits to the joys of pregnancy to the illnesses that stop you in your tracks, Iredell Health System will be by your side. Learn more at iredellhealth.org.
We're at Black Automotive. The Buick Encore GX is now at a low 0.9% for 36 months or a $3,000 rebate. Or the Buick Envista is also 0.9% for 36 months. And there's more here at Black Automotive Statesville.
Attention, fellow conservative investors. What does the name Reagan mean to you? It stands for being the ultimate conservative. It also stands for the Reagan Gold Group. Do you see storm clouds approaching? The stock market hates uncertainty, and there are plenty of reasons to be concerned. High inflation, unstable debt, and economic uncertainty are just a few. You have car insurance, homeowners insurance, and life insurance. But do you have insurance for your retirement savings and your 401k? We urge all fellow conservative investors to learn about the one asset that could help ensure your nest egg doesn't crack under economic pressure. GOLD. Gold. Call the one name any conservative investor needs to know about. Reagan Gold Group.
800-296-1557. 800-296-1557. 800-296-1557. That's 800-296.
I'm Bryce Johnson with this Unpacking It Sports and Faith Minute. Professional athletes are always motivated to secure a better contract. During negotiations for a better deal, teams and players are frequently at odds over what the player is worth. Spiritually speaking, we can find ourselves at odds over our worth. Some people think they're worthless, and there's no way that God could love or be willing to save them. But Titus 3 in the Bible reminds us when God, our Savior, revealed his kindness and love, he saved us. Not because of the righteous things we had done, but because of his mercy. We also have to be careful not to think we're so awesome that we're owed something. Romans 12:3 says, "For by the grace given to me, I say to everyone among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think." Today, let's realize we are valued and loved by God, and Jesus paid the ultimate price for us on the cross. I'm Bryce Johnson, and you can unpack that. For more, go to unpackingit.com.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Consumer prices were up 0.3% last month, higher than forecast and up 3.3% from a year ago. Some of the drivers were auto insurance rates, sky-high home and rent prices, along with medical care, airfares, and food prices. Pharmaceutical giant Eli Lilly says it's sending hundreds of cease and desist letters to companies that are making, selling, and promoting products that mimic diabetes and weight loss drugs Zepbound and Mounjaro. The companies were allowed to sell copycat versions of the popular drugs while there was a shortage of the medication, but that shortage ended last week. In a company presentation, chip maker AMD says its latest chips, which will be available soon, will exceed some of the capabilities of its rival NVIDIA. AMD is trying to lessen NVIDIA's dominance in AI accelerators, which are needed in the development of AI systems. All three major averages were down today, with the Dow dropping a little over 0.1%. NASDAQ fell less than 0.1%, while the S&P finished down 0.2%. Meanwhile, West Texas Intermediate ended the day up close to 4%. Dan Schwartzman, Bloomberg Radio.
Now more of the Scoreboard with Joe Berg on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to the Scoreboard. 844 Studio 4 is the phone number as we pass the halfway mark here on the program today. Getting close to that 6 o'clock hour. I know a lot of you out of work, on your way home. Drive safe out there. I saw an accident earlier on the way here. And man, it's just sad. Sad to see. Drive safe out there, everyone. Talking a little sports, we were going over high school stuff on the other side of the break. We got a lot going on in the world of soccer there. Throw volleyball and football in, as well as, we got golf and cross country, things like that going on as well. So, man, it is a busy time period in the high school land. It's also a busy time period in the world of sports. I think this month, October, might be the best one for sports. You have the MLB playoffs. You have the NFL early season. The NBA is going to be getting started in a couple of weeks. The NHL already got started earlier this week. What more do you want? You got the WNBA Finals. Yeah, the WNBA Finals. That's tipping off today, 8 o'clock on ESPN. Game 1 between the Minnesota Lynx and the New York Liberty. Reminder for you, it is a best-of-5 series, so first team to win 3 games will take the WNBA championship. We said the NHL season started. There are a few teams that have begun play. The Florida Panthers, looking to defend their Stanley Cup win from last year, start the season off with a win, going 1-0, and it looks like the Buffalo Sabres, already the worst team in the NHL, 0-2, -5 goal differential. Oh, man, that's a tough way to start the year. Now, those games for Buffalo and New Jersey Devils, they were overseas, over in Prague. So just a reminder, the season did start a little early for those teams. They're going to be getting back into action in the States, but it's going to be a few more days before they play. We do have some games in the NHL today. Buffalo back in action, like we said, they'll be picking things up. New Jersey as well, back in action today. Utah is on their first road trip of the season, taking on the New York Islanders. And your Carolina Hurricanes do not start the season until Friday, tomorrow. Now, they're supposed to have a home to start the year against the Lightning. And if you know who the Lightning are from Tampa Bay. That second game against Tampa has been postponed. The first game of the year for Carolina is going to be at home. It's going to be in Raleigh tomorrow. And they were supposed to play Saturday on the road in Tampa. But like I said, that is not going to happen. It has been postponed. So Carolina plays Friday, and then they don't play again until Tuesday. Very slow start to the season for the Carolina Hurricanes. A reminder for you, the Florida Panthers beat the Edmonton Oilers in the Stanley Cup final last year. It was a great series. Edmonton almost making a comeback in that series, if you remember what happened. I know it's been a while. It's been a while since we saw any hockey, but got to remind you who was a part of it. That series went 7 games, by the way. You might not remember that. Florida went up 3-0. Florida went up 3-0 in the series. They didn't blow it, though. That's the biggest thing. The MLB playoffs are moving on today. We got 2 games, like we said earlier. Warm-ups for the Guardians and the Tigers. That game, first pitch is going to be at 6:08. And then the Yankees and the Royals, first pitch in that one, also going to be 8:08. I'll never understand the weird start times for baseball where it's so specific, but that is where we're at in the baseball world. Playoffs around the corner. We already have 1 NLCS team. We're looking for 3 more CS teams. We need an NLCS team between the Dodgers and the Padres. Game number 5. That'll be tomorrow. That's going to be a good one. And then there's a chance we know who's playing in the ALCS after today. as the Tigers are a game away from moving on and the Yankees are a game away from moving on. I do think one of those two series is going to go back to a game 5. I wouldn't be surprised if it was Detroit and Cleveland. I also wouldn't be surprised if it was the Yankees and the Royals. Just kind of the way the season went this year. The Mets, man, like, that's the way the season went. The Mets had a terrible start to the year, but because the National League was so mediocre, they were able to catch back up and get into the wild card on the final day of the season. They win the wild card. Now they win the divisional round. It's all about surviving and advancing. And every game is so important in the MLB. Every run is so important. We were talking about this earlier today on the Home Ad Show with Patrick Reynolds, if you listen to that program at all. I personally believe that not NASCAR, terrible. The NHL and the MLB have a stranglehold on entertainment when it comes to the playoffs. Nothing comes close, at least in North American sports. I know probably European soccer gets really intense, I'm sure. But as far as North America goes, I think the NHL and the MLB have the most entertaining playoffs that there are. You get one run in baseball playoffs, and it feels so big. And I think a lot of it has to do with tension. You're sitting on the edge of your seat just waiting for a goal to be scored in the NHL playoffs, and they're all so big. And you're just waiting for somebody to come across home plate and score a run in the MLB. The playoffs, man, it is so important. And I was watching the Padres and Dodgers, and the announcers were making a point that you can tell just by listening that it's playoff baseball. Because no matter what time it is, when there's 2 strikes with 2 outs, the home fans get loud. Don't believe me? Tune into these games tonight. You're going to hear the home fans going absolutely insane every inning that that they're in the field, that their team is in the field, and you got 2 strikes with 2 outs. Because it's so important. Getting through every half inning is so important in baseball, especially in the playoffs, man. Everything is so magnified and so important, which is why we love it, right? That's one of the things we love about it is the intensity and how important it feels. So 2 baseball games tonight. I expect them to be really good. Guardians, Tigers coming up in just about 15, 20 minutes. And then the Yankees and the Royals a little bit later on. You're going to be able to watch those on TNT and TBS. It does feel a little weird to me that the MLB can't be on a major network, main network during the playoffs. Like, man, NBC, Fox, nobody wants it. ESPN, nobody wants it. Now, the World Series, that's different. That's going to be on Fox, I'm sure of it. And I'm sure we'll have Joe Buck announce. Oh, no, Joe Buck's not part of Fox anymore. I forget who announces the World Series. We'll find out. We're coming up on our final break of the program. When we return, we'll gather up some info on the NASCAR Cup Series as we head to the Roval. A little bit of a different layout this year. Go over that. And this day in sports history. We got a little bit left. Still time for your phone calls if you want to call in. 844-STUDIO-4. That's 844-788-3464. Don't go anywhere. We're back after this.
Keep it right here. We'll have more of the Scoreboard with Joe Berg in just a moment from 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
We're getting chilly tonight with a clear sky. Temperatures dip into the mid-40s. A couple of spots could even see the low 40s by early Friday morning. The mountains dipping into the mid-30s with some frost possible by the morning, too. And, well, if you got some patience in a dark sky, you might try your luck this evening. There's at least a chance you could see the northern lights. It's just a chance, but maybe worth taking some time to try out. Sunshine back for our Friday, low 70s to round out the work week. Comfy weather through the weekend, too. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Birkdale Village in Huntersville presents their free concert series Live Under the Oaks on Friday. The Village is open all day for shopping and dining with Rocky Lynn taking the stage at 6 p.m. Bring your chairs and enjoy on-site beverages from Red Rocks. Live Under the Oaks with Rocky Lynn kicks off at 6 p.m. Friday in Birkdale Village. Old Town Cornelius is alive again with October's Second Friday Street Festival. Join friends and neighbors on October 11th from 5 to 9 p.m. at the Oak Street Mill in Cornelius for the Second Friday Street Festival season finale. Live music, an all-star lineup of breweries, delicious food trucks, sweet treats, a kids zone, petting zoo, vendors, and giveaways highlight a night of fun for the entire family. We'll see you in Old Town Cornelius for the Second Friday Street Festival. NASCAR returns to Charlotte Motor Speedway for their annual fall weekend in October on the Roval. The Xfinity Series holds the Drive for the Cure 250 on Saturday. The Cup Series competes in the Bank of America Roval 400 on Sunday. Weekend ticket packages as well as daily tickets are available. Also, check out deals for military service members, college students, suites, the Champions Pavilion, the Indoor Clubhouse, Terrace Box, 4-packs, and more. Don't miss any of the entertainment, including Eli Young Band and Tim Duggar concerts before NASCAR's National Series step closer to their championships. Visit CharlotteMotorspeedway.com for information, tickets, and details. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
The Renaissance Festival is back Saturdays and Sundays, now through November 24th. A non-stop outdoor family adventure. Tickets available online only at renfestinfo.com while supplies last.
The Statesville Family YMCA reminds you that older adults and those with chronic health conditions don't need to feel they must accept impaired balance and limited mobility. Build strength, improve balance, and gain confidence in your mobility through the Moving for Better Balance program. For questions and additional information, email C. Mullins at ymcanwnc.org.
Now more of the Scoreboard with Joe Berg on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's the final segment of the Scoreboard today. Last chance to get your phone calls in. 844-STUDIO-4. That's 844-788-3464. We've covered a lot of ground today. We're going to move our attention to the world of NASCAR, the Xfinity Series, the Cup Series. Moving to the Roval. Got to let you know what the schedule is, as we will only have action on the weekends. Nothing going on tomorrow in NASCAR. The trucks are not going to the Roval. Saturday, the Xfinity Series will practice at 10 a.m. and they'll qualify at 11. Then the Cup Series has a practice session at 12:30 and they will qualify at 2. Then at 3:30, it is the Drive for the Cure 250 presented by BCBS for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Then as we move on to Sunday, there's only one thing you need to know. The Bank of America Roval 400 from the Charlotte Motor Speedway Road Course, 2 p.m. Eastern. NBC will have that race. NBC proper, that is. That is not going to be on USA. I know that's been something that's happened in the past year. Also, keep in mind the Xfinity Series race, you're only going to be able to see that on the CW. I know. And it's not streaming anywhere, so you have to be by a TV. It's literally, there are no streams. You can't find a stream of the Xfinity race. And it's a shame because I actually think that the Xfinity race is going to be a little bit more entertaining. Maybe not entertaining, but there's a few more storylines here. Shane Van Gisbergen, after a pretty rough round, second round, finds himself 10 points behind the cut line. A.J. Allmendinger is the cut line driver, the final driver in the round of 8 right now. The thing about that is A.J. Allmendinger is a very good road course racer. But so is Shane Van Gisbergen. If he can find a way to get the win and lock himself in, that'd be awesome. But if he doesn't win, the points are going to be hard to come by because Riley Herbst is way out in front. And I know it's probably possible for him to catch Herbst, but Riley would have to have some serious problems, as with Jesse Love. Now, Sammy Smith, we talked about him. He has locked his way into the next round with a win. Man, he would have been, he was last going into Dega. Last in points going into Talladega, and he gets the win, punching his ticket to the round of 8. I think the Xfinity race is going to be interesting, but I know a lot of people will have their eyes on the NASCAR Cup Series. Here is the standings as they go into the cut race. William Byron is plus 74. I'm pretty sure he is locked in. Christopher Bell, 57 points above the cut line. Kyle Larson, 52 points above the cut line. Denny Hamlin, sitting fourth, is 30 points above the cut line. Why did I put such an emphasis on that? Well, if you know what happened at Talladega, you know why. Denny Hamlin had lost the draft. He was running almost dead last, and he was negative in the playoffs. He would have been behind the cut line. And then the biggest wreck in NASCAR history took place, a 28-car pileup on the backstretch at Talladega. And Denny moved up a lot of spots, and his competition lost spots. That swing got him plus 30, from being underneath the cut line to being 30 points above the cut line. That's why Talladega is so wild. Alex Bowman, 26 points above. Ryan Blaney, 25. Tyler Reddick, plus 14. And Chase Elliott is the last driver who would make the round of 8 at 13 points above the cut line. The driver 13 points behind Elliott is Joey Logano. Then it's Daniel Suarez, 20 points back. Austin Cindric, 29. And Chase Briscoe, 32 points back. I do think for those 4 drivers below the cut line, it's going to take a win. Chase Elliott is a very good road course driver, as is Tyler Reddick. And Ryan Blaney has a 25-point cushion to the cut line. I'm intrigued. I'm not going to say I'm not intrigued by this cut round, and we always see an interesting race with the Roval. Remember, I'll always go back to the first time we ever went to the Roval with Jimmy Johnson spinning out, collecting Martin Truex Jr. Ryan Blaney gets the win. The 5, I guess he was in the 42 at the time, of Kyle Larson, banging his car off the wall, just trying to get one more spot for one more point to advance to the next round, ends up doing it. Remember the restart that they had going into the green-white checker where everybody blew turn 1? We've seen some interesting things at the Roval before. Now, one thing to keep in mind this week is we have a new layout. I'm going to do my best to explain this to you. You start the race the same, turning left into the infield as you come past pit road. And then the actual infield portion is relatively similar to the way it's always been. You go through the double right-hander, you go through that long sweeping right-hander, and then this is where things change now. It used to be after that sweeping right-hander, you would continue to go right, cut into the infield a little more, go left, and then make a 90-degree turn into turn 1, putting you back on the oval. Well, now after you make that sweeping right-hander, you go straight for a little bit and you make a right turn, and you're almost running parallel with turns 1 and 2 for a minute on the infield, going the opposite direction. Then you have a hairpin corner right where turn 1 is, the Roval 1, not Cup 1, Oval 1, Roval 1. That's where the U-turn is, and then you get up on the banking into turn 1, go down the backstretch. The backstretch chicane has been modified a little bit, and it seems like every year they play with the backstretch chicane. It's a very narrow chicane. I don't know what more they can do with it. It's better than the first year, though. We had so many cars hit that wall in the chicane and catch air. It would have been bad if in the first Roval race we would have had a car upside down. That would not have been good. But I think it's going to be okay. I think we're all going to come out of the Roval saying, all right, we eliminated some drivers, whatever. I at least hope that we're not going to be bashing the Roval after this. And if we are, it's time to move on from the Roval. I say it time and time again. We should just stay on the oval because Charlotte is a track that absolutely deserves 2 oval races. One of the most iconic tracks in the sport. And you can't run the oval twice. You got to put an infield course in there. And I'll continue to say it. They do these things to the wrong track. They should have put an infield at Texas, or what they did to Atlanta, they should have done to Texas. Any of those two, it should have happened to Texas Motor Speedway because that track has been a nuisance ever since it opened. Heading into the final couple of minutes of the program today, let's get into some things that happened on this day in sports history. Going back about 20 years here now to 2004, having already clinched his 7th World Drivers' Champion, Michael Schumacher wins a then record 13th race of the season with a victory at Suzuka. 1994, the New York Giants retired a number. That number belonged to Lawrence Taylor, number 56. Going a little bit farther back, 1930. This is interesting. The Associated Press voted on the American League MVP, and the Baseball Writers of America voted on the National MVP. Interesting. Not sure why they had 2 different things for the vote, but Joe Cronin wins the AL MVP for the Associated Press, and the Baseball Writers of America named Hack Wilson the National League MVP. 1951, the New York Yankees beat the New York Giants in the World Series. I remember seeing things about the New York Giants baseball team. I just always found it interesting that there's a New York Giants baseball franchise and a New York Giant football franchise. The New York Giants obviously ended up being the San Francisco Giants, who we all know out there on the West Coast. Let's see, a couple more things in here. It was on this day in 1980, the Kansas City Royals beat the New York Yankees 3-0 in the American League Championship. That was back when it was only 5 games for the championship series. Just interesting that it was on this day in 1980 that the Yankees and the Royals were playing in the playoffs. Mostly because it's going on now. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We got baseball tonight. We got football tonight. High school sports tonight. Don't miss any of it. We'll be back here tomorrow. It's Friday. Same time, same place. We'll have some fun. Get you prepped for the weekend. And we'll have a good time doing it. Thanks for tuning in tomorrow. I will be here same time, same place tomorrow. Until then, have a good night, everyone.
Serving you better than ever before.